Design is a critical part of any CAM software. Although you may be importing geometry into Mastercam and feel you don't need to design anything, you'll still need to utilize the tools available to program your toolpaths. For example, containment boundaries, fixture design, and tool profiles are often needed while programming. This lesson will explore these tools and provide a strong foundation of design. We'll start with exploring the basics of wireframe geometry. I'll bring in a part called 2D Mill Design Wireframe Basics. Now, whenever I bring in a part, I like to get familiar with what I imported, so let's explore the managers on the left. I see there are no machines selected and no toolpaths on this part. I can also see from the Levels Manager that there are only two levels. One level named Part Geometry that has one entity on it, and the level named Fixture Setup 1 that has 0 entities. The purpose of this lesson will be to create a fixture to hold this part. We'll start with 2D wireframe geometry, and I'll make sure that the location of the 2D plane I'm drawing in is at the correct Z level. In the Planes Manager, I see that Fixture Setup 1 is my current WCS, and the letter C here indicates that this is the active construction plane. In other words, this is a plane I'm drawing on, and if we look at it from the top view, we're looking directly at our plane. The question now is, at what depth are we drawing? I'll switch back to isometric to ensure that I'm at the proper depth. To do that, I'll make sure that I'm set to 2D in my construction mode, which limits my drawing onto a two-dimensional plane. In addition to that, I want my geometry to be at the bottom of this part, so I'll click on the Z button here and select this point here, which will change my Z value to match that location. I'm still drawing at the same construction plane, but now at this depth, which represents the bottom of my part. I like to organize my geometry onto levels, so I'll create a new level, 106, and name it Fixture Setup 1-Wireframe. All of the wireframe geometry for my fixture will be on this level. I'll also make sure that this is the active level, so anything that I draw will be put onto this level. Now that everything is set, let's start drawing. I want to create a rectangular plate around this part, but the dimensions don't necessarily have to be crucial. For this lesson though, we'll make it precise so we can learn some additional techniques. I'll start by selecting the Wireframe tab, and then under the Shapes group, I'll choose Rectangular Shapes from the pull-down menu. I'll make sure to set it to rectangular, 1 point. I'll set the locating point here, and the width and height will each be at 200 millimeters. I'll make sure I'm in my top view, and I will eyeball it so the rectangle fits perfectly around the part. Once I place it, I will click OK at the function panel and take a look at the Levels Manager. I see that there are 4 entities on level 106, which makes sense that I drew a square that's comprised of 4 lines. Also notice that the square is created at the bottom of my part, right at this level I selected earlier. Now let's take this geometry and offset it using the Offset Chains function. On the Modify group, I'll click the Offset Chains button. The chaining function panel appears, and I need to select geometry that I want to offset. Once I select the geometry I want to offset, I click OK. Looking at this prompt, it's telling me to indicate the offset direction. I simply click on one side of the line or the other to tell it which way I want to offset. Now that it's offset, we have what's called the live entity. We can use the Offset Chains function panel to give it a distance, a number of instances, and if I want to copy or move it. I'll select Move, and the distance will be set to 1 millimeter. When I'm done, I click the OK button and my geometry is offset, and it's no longer a live entity. The geometry is a different color because this is what is called a result color. It happens to geometry when you make a change to it, such as offsetting. To clear the colors, you simply right-click and choose Clear Colors. In the future lessons, we'll be creating similar shapes to this, but using a different method.